Howdy, and welcome to the Feed Bandit Podcast, where we talk all things hunting and introduce you to the most innovative hunting gear and services. Here are your hosts, Jimmy Byrne and Richard Kinchlow. Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Feed Bandit Podcast. Jimmy here, and as always, I am joined by my esteemed partner and colleague, Richard. What's going on?
I'm still here.
You are still here.
I have yet to get a phone call from.
Then it's been a long time you've been waiting.
It has. And I showed up at Your Majesty's, and there was nobody there. So I'm pretty upset. We'll see, though. We'll see. It's a new day, and nobody showed up at my door. We'll see. Anyway.
Well, for the folks who have no idea what we're talking about, maybe new listeners have joined. You're just going to have to listen to the last podcast.
Yes.
Go back and listen to the last podcast to see what we're talking about here. And maybe on the next podcast they'll call. I don't know. Who knows? Yeah. We'll see.
I'll get to use my one phone call from jail to record the podcast.
Yes, after you're indicted and tried and convicted.
Yes, and I go to my own grand jury in front of my magistrate. Yeah.
I wonder if you would have to wear the white wigs and stuff that they wear over there.
So
or is that just
order in the court, everybody?
That's just the counselors.
Yeah.
So,
anyway, a lot to look forward to.
Well, today we wanted to continue, I guess, a controversy series here, and I don't personally really think that it's too much of a controversy. I'm just going to throw it out there immediately, we'll describe why. I mean, some of the past listeners, at least on one of the species we may talk about, know why I don't think it's so much of a controversy. But in general, there is some people out there, I think, that now I don't know if you agree with me or not. There, I don't want to give away your opinion. Right. But we do hear rumblings, and you do read about rumblings here and there about exotics, right. And the whole phenomena of way back when introducing them into the land, and now what do you do about them because they are exotics, right? So they're not native. So I don't know.
When we talk about exotics, for those of y'all who aren't familiar with it, we're talking about exotic wildlife imported from places like India and Africa. They're not the dancers. I think that's an important thing because.
We are.
Wow. I mean, we have people. Here's Jasmine at the corn feeder. Destiny. Yeah. So now we're done.
Yeah, I know it's in her destiny.
Yeah, good one.
Yes. That's
good. Yeah, that's good. Anyway. Yeah. So exotics exotic wildlife can be. Can be kind of frowned upon. For example, at least recently in the news, one of the biggest things that I've heard a lot of, at least, is about pythons in Florida. They had around the big game. Okay, the Super Bowl. They had some competition in Florida where they were out there, trying to kill all these pythons because they've taken over and, they hurt the native wildlife and they don't have a lot of natural predators. So, things of that nature are definitely frowned upon. I
would think, that's interesting that you bring that up, I think, because there are different layers or levels of exotics, right? That most people would agree, get them out of here. But then you get to some that are like, well, I don't know, not so bad. But then you got to step back and say, well, I mean, Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
No. You're exactly right. It's like, well, it's an exotic is an exotic. We got to get rid of them all. Yeah, I think another one, at least, when we talk about exotics in the state of Texas, I mean, there's tons of hoofed animals, but I'd say the only one that's really got kind of a bad rap, of course, is going to be the feral hog. And then again, a lot of people like them, just because they're good to eat, it's fun to shoot, whatnot. But you talk to a farmer, some family that makes their money off the dirt, and those hogs go in there and destroy a newly planted corn crop. Well, they got a different opinion than we do. So my opinion on exotics has changed over the years. One of our very good friends, fraternity brother Jimmy and I's, He grew up hunting in the hill country, and he was really kind of my first my first person that really kind of introduced me to exotics. And when I first heard about them, I was pretty much against them, just because of the fact that an exotic is an exotic, okay, and they definitely interfere with the native wildlife. For deer, which I think their Latin name is Delicious Maximus, which is not really there, but they're really good to eat. Okay, but the problem with axis deer is that they're prolific breeders. Okay, they have no breeding season whatsoever. Unlike whitetail, right? When they've got kind of their cycle, the axis deer and the black buck and a lot of exotics are pregnant year round, so they have a lot more. They put a lot more mouths on the ground.
I wonder if that's the case because this is not their native land. I wonder if that's the case where they actually are.
No. Apparently, when they are, they've got breeding seasons and everything.
Yeah. Okay. So, interesting.
Yeah. No, it's interesting. So that means if we go to Italy,
I was going to say the moon, but yeah, Italy.
Oh, okay. Well, it's whatever. Yeah, the moon. Okay, nerd alert. Anyway, but yeah. So one of the problems with axis deer, for example, again, prolific breeders, as we talked about. But one of the other things is that they're primarily a grazer. Okay, so there's a difference between a grazer and a browser. A grazer primarily eats grass, so it's going to be your cows and whatnot. Black buck antelope are grazers, but axis are grazers first, then they're browsers. And so a browser is going to be like a whitetail, so forbs, leaves, things of that nature. So. The axis has the advantage by virtue of the fact they can eat both, whereas a whitetail will not. So there are parts of Texas where, and I think a lot of people can attest to this, Bernie, Texas, Camp Wood, Lakey, or as we like to call it, Leaky, which are just gorgeous places, by the way. Just the absolute pride of Texas. Beautiful. But they are overrun with axis deer. And it's a delicious problem, but it's a problem nonetheless because they're crowding out the whitetail. So, those are some of issues with exotics. Another one that's in the state of Texas, that is another one that's really not as talked about as much, and we actually put something on Facebook about it, is the aoudad. Mm-hmm. So the aoudad is or Barbary sheep. Okay, is from North Africa. And they are a mountainous type sheep, and they're again a prolific. What?
Prolific.
They're a pea breeder, and and they're also eating machines, right? So one of the issues you have when you get out to the Davis Mountains into the Trans-Pecos area of Texas, what are they going to interfere with? Okay, well, first of all, out in that area, you've got a forage problem, all right? Because I think out there it's one unit, which is one cow, one calf per 100 acres, whereas somewhere around Houston you're looking at multiple units per acre. So there's not a lot of forage out there, and so you've got the mule deer, you've got the Texas desert bighorn, and then you got this invasive aoudad that are out there crowding them out, eating all the food, and that's a problem out there. So that's another two good examples: the axis down in the parts of the hill country, and then the aoudad and kind of the Trans-Pecos of how exotic game are looked negatively upon in the state of Texas. But I think there's a ton of benefits to them as well.
If someone were to say to you, why? Yeah.
Sorry.
Well, I mean, I already know how that works. Oh, Argentina.
True. Oh yeah.
So if someone were to say, okay, well, why? Give me a reason why it would be such a bad thing that an axis deer would crowd out whitetail, other than, just saying, well, whitetail is native.
Yeah.
Why is that a big deal? I mean, it's nature, it's evolution, it's nature, it's whatever you want to call it. If whitetail can't fight back and survive, well, then maybe they shouldn't. Maybe they don't deserve to. What would your answer to that
right? And I get you. I hear you on that.
Well, I'm not
But
saying I say I play devil's advocate here.
no, I know. I can't stand that phrase. I actually used it today, and I lost my train of thought. I was like, God, I hate that phrase. But no, I totally get you. And so, what are the downsides of it? Well, really, truthfully, in my opinion, it's just the fact that it's a native game animal being pushed out. It's kind of like our bread and butter being pushed out. And the thing is it wouldn't have happened if it weren't for human intervention. The whole exotic boom in the state of Texas started back in the 20s, I think, primarily in the hill, primarily at the Wyo Ranch when they brought in all these game animals, and of course that's when they kind of invented the high fence. And back then the high fences weren't they were pretty high, but they weren't very sturdy, and that's when everything really started escaping, and then literally populated the entire hill country in a matter of a couple of years. So yeah, it's I don't want to say it's not very fair for the native game, but I don't know. It's got its pluses and its minuses. I mean, I think a plus for exotics is definitely that they taste freaking fantastic. I mean, the axis deer. If you've never had axis deer, you are missing something. In fact, if you're going to book a trip to Texas, and you're doing a whitetail hunt or something, or primarily a whitetail deer hunt, go to a ranch that's got exotics and try to shoot an axis doe. And then wherever, I don't care if you live in Montana or Timbuktu, bring a cooler home with you and take every inch of that axis deer with you, and let us know what you think, because it is incredible. I mean, Jimmy, you agree, right?
It's amazing.
It is. It is. I think it's better than elk. I mean, it's the closest thing to beef.
Well, yeah. Well, and if you're someone you've tried every which way, whitetail venison, and you just can't get your head around it, don't give up.
No.
Try to get, that or a black buck. I mean, black
Yes,
buck is really good as well. I think it's
very good.
It's like a little closer. I consider it halfway between whitetail and axis, maybe a little bit closer to axis.
I'd agree.
You cook it right.
Yeah.
So it's it's really good. Did I tell you that I cooked that shoulder?
No.
Yeah, it came out amazing. Like I didn't. No, I didn't. I know, idiot. But
wow. Because right, folks, we can just go to the grocery store and get a black buck shoulder and do it again.
Right. Hey, well, don't worry. I have 2 hams left that I can do. Full hams.
No. 2 hams is better than 1 in the bush.
This is true. That's a good point. Good
sure.
But no, it was amazing. I literally sat there with the shoulder there after I cooked it, and took a fork and a knife to it, just ate it right off. It was really good.
Good for you.
It was really good.
The scapula. I guess
right.
That's awesome. So anyway,
I felt like Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, exactly. As you've heard from Jimmy, the taste of them is incredible. So that's one definite reason for them. I think another pro for exotic game and primarily in the state of Texas, is going to be for what we're experiencing right now, the lull of the off season.
Oh yeah.
I mean, most of Texas has got feral hogs, but not everybody's got exotic game. And having another option to harvest during February, March, July, whatever is a really cool. With the exotics, you can shoot them by any legal means necessary at any time during the year. Even at night, you can shoot them, with a spotlight. So Texas definitely gives you plenty of opportunity to eliminate the exotic game population. So,
hey, hold on one quick moment. Hey folks, have you ever wished that there was an easier way to find the hunting feeds, supplies, and services you need, when and where you need them? If so, check out our hunter search at feedbandit.com, where you can see what hunting suppliers are in your area or are on the way to your land. Don't waste any more precious time searching Google or calling around for feed, blinds, feeders, or even outfitters. Just use our targeted search for hunters, the Feed Bandit Hunter Search, over at feedbandit.com. We'll find your feed.
So that kind of doubles as a off-season tip or
for sure
to do.
For sure.
Continuing the theme of the last podcast.
Yeah, no, for sure. And speaking of, again, for those of you who are booking a whitetail hunt, we're thinking about booking a whitetail hunt in the state of Texas, again, look for those exotics and try to do that too. However, in the summer, okay, here's a little tip for you. In the summer, even like for spring turkey, okay, is when the ranches in Texas really start to get serious about giving discounts for exotic animals. Okay, now your big exotics, your super exotics like eland and sable and Godzilla and all that kind of stuff, you're not going to see a lot of discounting. But for the typical exotics, so it's going to be black buck, fallow, axis deer, things of that nature. If you book a hunt, in like June, July, hell, even in August, it's going to be miserably hot, but you will get a great deal on an exotic animal. So just keep that in mind.
You won't be sad you did.
No, yeah. So so what's my personal opinion? Like again, I said, after I became educated from our good buddy, I definitely started seeing kind of the pros for him, and so that's why, like on Rancho Bandito, we've got whitetail deer, we've got a little bit of axis, but haven't really done really much. That's a different story, and we've got black buck, and that's in my opinion, that's a pretty good combo because again, our axis haven't done a whole lot. Don't know what's going on there. But our black buck, our little prolific breeders. Hey, I got it. I said it right. But we're keeping their numbers in check, and I think that's very important. If you've got a high fenced operation, you're going to be looking at exotics. You better watch your range conditions. You better watch your water, and you better watch your numbers. As far as the exotics are concerned. So, something else that I've kind of can't believe I haven't mentioned yet is because it's very, very, very near and dear to both of our hearts, is the financial impact that exotic animals have made in the state of Texas. And by that I mean, hunting leases in the hill country, even down to kind of like Del Rio and whatnot, are going for a lot of money. Okay, and there are a lot of guys, whether they're corporate leases or other types of private leases, that pay a fortune. Not only to the landowner, but to the feed stores to feed these animals because they hunt them year round, things of that nature. So, I would definitely say the exotic animals have really helped small town Texas out because you've got people that are down there now. An example, right? So you got some guys that are hunting in Ingram, Texas, right? And they just got done with deer season, right? And so now they're going to come back in January and they're going to get their protein feeders filled up. They're going to get their cottonseed baskets filled up. And then they're going to start hunting axis too. It gives people a reason to be out there in the bush year round. And if the hunters are in the field year round, you're going to need supplies. You're going to need feed. And so that I definitely think exotics are great for small town Texas and the economies there.
Mm-hmm.
Vote for Kinchlow.
There you go.
Mm-hmm.
No, well, I mean, I guess talking about this, it's I don't know if it needs to be said or not, but nothing's gonna really probably ever change the fact that they're here now.
No.
It's kind of the Pandora's box, if you want to call it that, is opened, and they can't go back.
No.
So it's it is what it is, but it's an interesting thing to talk about. What if? But truth be told, though, if you really think about it, even with the explosion of exotics,
right,
over the same time period, with more and more education into how to kind of manage land for whitetail and whatnot, right, those numbers have been fine too. It's not like they've fallen off a cliff because of an explosion of exotics.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, and in some areas, like I gotta find the article, man. It was in Camp Wood. It's kind of the epicenter of the major axis boom. I think Texas Parks and Wildlife issued like a mandatory kill on the exotics because they were getting too out of hand, and people stopped seeing whitetail. So, I don't necessarily think that it was affecting their population per se, but it was pushing them out of their traditional areas. I also know that a lot of the public drawn hunts in the state of Texas, which I've unsuccessfully put in for the past decade, allow you to hunt at some of the state parks, and it's typically for exotics, and these guys clean up. They do really well. It's one of the reasons why I keep applying and striking out. But
that would be amazing.
Oh, God, it's so great. They're like, I was hunting at a campsite 5. Little Johnny roasted his marshmallows there, and I bludgeoned an axis to death with my 300 Win Mag. I mean, it's funny seeing these pictures. So,
oh man, yeah.
They again, there are pros and cons, but I think overall, the exotics are here to stay. You talk about, well, there's really not much we can do because of, you've opened Pantera's box, and right, yeah, catch that, and so now that is open, there's nothing you can really do. But one of the things that nature does to help population control is disease and whatnot, and Texas, unfortunately, and Sutton County and Valverde County, which is going to be just southwest kind of the hill, anthrax breakout this past year. So it'd be summer 2019, and it devastated some herds. And now that was whitetail. And it did. I don't think it really affected a lot of the exotics, kind of from what I read. But if Camp Wood were to get into a drought type scenario, and maybe stagnant water start to build up, things of that nature, you can have a die-off scenario. And that's kind of nature's way of taking care of it a lot. Of course, it'll be interesting. It kind of remains to be seen, But those axis deer, they herd up in such gigantic herds that, and I don't know a lot about axis disease and whatnot. But man, you would think that if a disease were to be present in the herd or in an area where there is a substantial herd, it could really send them back.
Yeah. Well, there is another option if you're overrun with axis herds, and you really want your whitetail to come back or to
axis
thrive.
Genocide.
Well, you could always just call me, send me an email, and
boy,
I'll come down and take care of that problem.
Yeah. You and 10,000 other Texans. Yeah, me too, actually. If Jimmy's unavailable, I'll be there and look at these splits.
Yeah, Feed Bandit tonight. We just want to announce we're launching a new service. That's Axis Population Control by Feed Bandit.
Boy, listen, thank y'all so much for killing these 20 axis deer. This is really nice. No, not a problem. Thank you. Even though I know we don't know you, thank you. But yeah.
Yeah. No, I still have that hankering to have, if somehow possible, to have my own axis deer preserve.
Oh, yeah.
Somewhere.
So by preserved, you mean jelly?
Oh, yeah. Well, eventually, after they get the lead poisoning.
Can you imagine? You're like, your Jeb's at the table. He's got his eggs, his bacon, and his toast, and you put Axis Preserve on his toast. Oh, my God. It smells like rotten meat.
Axis Tartar.
Yeah. Oh man. Hey, bring it on.
No joke. Yeah.
So good.
But no, I mean it's an interesting topic. You don't. I don't know. I didn't like you. I didn't know what exotic was, and until then, and so I don't know that I don't think I ever saw an axis deer in person, like live, if you will.
Right.
Until we went on that doe hunt down there.
Yeah. Right. Well, hold on. What about the trip into his place?
I mean, probably. I probably didn't. I mean, I guess. Yeah, you're right. I mean, we've been out there before and stuff like that. So I guess I did.
God.
That's true. I guess I did see that, but I never really thought through.
Yeah.
The implications of what it would mean if I shot an axis.
Oh my God.
And what the meat would taste like and all that stuff. I mean, it's just there's another animal,
Sure. Yep.
But now, I mean, they're like, if I see one, it's like, it kind of floats up and it has the big light behind it. Oh, the angels singing,
That's right. That's right. Yeah. Start to drool. Wow, they're incredible. Yeah. So for the listeners out there, you get a shot at an axis, take it. It is well worth it. And another a tip for you, most directly even with the shoulder. So if you shoot an axis, an inch behind his or her shoulder, you're potentially clipping the gut. So something to think about. Something to think about. Yeah.
Something to think about. And then if you could shoot an aoudad, that would be a cool one to put on your wall.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to get one of those.
Sure. Well, you know where to get one.
Yeah, I do.
Uh-huh.
We shall have to remedy that and go down there, all of us.
Prima Noctra. Great.
But okay. Well, you got anything else to add to the Axis debate?
Yum. I think that's about it.
Yeah, I guess we're pretty lucky down here in Texas in many ways, but
right,
especially in that way as well. It's really cool that that we're even sitting here debating it. We could be sitting here and not even have this discussion. And
absolutely.
And at the very least, it's just cool to see them.
I agree.
I love whitetails, of course, but it's cool to see the different, more variety in the animals.
Yep. It's kind of like a buffet zoo.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. That's a good way to leave it.
Yes, sir.
So with that buffet zoo buffet, whatever you want to call it, everyone out there, if you're listening, be sure to join our email list. We're working on a lot of deals that we're going to be able to send you guys and let you guys know about, but you're going to have to be on the list in order to get access to those things. And so you might as well jump on there right now so you can be on there when we start throwing those out to you. So easiest way to do that is to text 33777 when you text that number, or text the word bandit to 33777. I can't forget the actual keyword.
Yeah.
That's key. Pun intended. Right. Text bandit to 33777 and jump on the list, and you'll be ready to rock whenever we roll out some of this stuff. So really appreciate it. Oh, and anyone out there, if you disagree with anything we've said, or have a different way of looking at things, or agree, or whatever, you can send us a voicemail if you didn't know already.
Yep.
We just set this up a couple podcasts ago. You can go to feedbanditpodcast.com, and there just find the little record area and hit record, and you can leave us a little message. And if you're lucky, we'll in the future at some point we'll play it on the podcast. And if you have a question, you're curious of our opinion, ask us or cuss us or do whatever you want to do. We'd love to hear from you one way or the other. So go to feedbanditpodcast.com, leave that voicemail for us. And with that, we really appreciate you listening to this episode, and stay tuned for the next one. So everyone out there, have a good one, and don't forget to support your local feed store.